We will look at another length unit called Rem and see how it differs from Em. In this example, we have the overall div with a class called container. There is a nested paragraph that contains the same class, container. A second paragraph with a class called lambda. There is a nested span element with a class tutorial within the second paragraph. Generally, due to CSS inheritance, a child element inherits properties from its parent. So, this would, by default, inherit their font size from the corresponding parent elements if nothing is specified. The Rem or Rem unit sets the font size to that of the root element. So even if its direct parent has a different font size, it will not inherit that, but rather select that of the root element. Now, the root element in this case is the HTML tag, that is the root HTML tag. If the root element has no font specified, as usual, it will inherit the default 16 pixel size from the browser. Now let's take a look at our CSS and see what's popping. We set the font size of the container, lambda, and tutorial selector to 1 rem or 1 rem. This means they all inherit the font size of the root HTML element, giving us a universal font size of 16 pixels. We can then see that they all have a uniform font. We can also confirm the root element's font size by inspecting elements. You will notice that the root HTML element has a 16 pixel font size. The root HTML element is 16 pixels, so 1 rem is 1 times 16, so it's still 16. We can play around and see how changes will affect our elements, that is the eventual computed font sizes. Here, we set the container to have a font size of 20 pixels. This is an absolute unit. It does not inherit from any parent and does not change. The lambda has a font size of 0.5 em. Remember that em is the computed font size of the element. The element inherits a 20 pixel font size. Since the font size is 0.5 em, the resulting font is 0.5 times 20, which is 10 pixels. The width of 50% sets the element's width. 50% means it will occupy 50% of the viewport width. The paragraph text will not horizontally cross half of the screen. This is just for easy reading and has nothing to do with the font. We will treat percentages later. The font size of the tutorial selector is 1 rem, which is the font size of the root element, the HTML tag. That's 16 pixels to be specific. In summary, the first paragraph will be 20 pixels. The second paragraph will be 10 pixels. Still, the tutorial text within the second paragraph will have a font size of 16 pixels. Let's take a look at the web page. You can see the resulting effect of the different font sizes. To try an experiment, let's make the font size of the root HTML element 20 pixels. You will notice that the font size of the first paragraph remains the same because it was already set to 20 pixels before this adjustment. However, the font size of the tutorial text in the second paragraph increases in size from 16 pixels to 20, matching that of the first paragraph. If I make lambda 1em, that means it inherits the font size of the parent element. In this case, it inherits the 20 pixel font. That will make everything even and every element having a 20 pixel font size.